Anyway, welcome to this webinar on CRM. I aim to just do some introduction to what we're going to talk about, who I am, and then we'll get cracking into the detail of CRM. There we go. So it's a bit slow, so sorry, jumping around there. So, a bit about me first. So I'm Des Scanlon. I've over 25 years working in IT. I started my IT career as a business analyst. For those of you who are not familiar with the business analyst, that's someone who understands business process, opportunities, value, and works to put business cases together for changes, new implementations, and doing new things. Before I went self-employed, I was a FTSE 250 IT director, and I've implemented several CRM systems, including Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, Zoho, etc. I was fortunate enough to lead a team who won the 2014 Microsoft European Excellence Award for CRM. On more interesting things, I'm a bit of a rugby nut, like most sports really. I grow veg, I love wine. I like to think I'm an authority on 1980s music. That's certainly enough about me. So, into the topic for today. So what is CRM? That is possibly the biggest and best question. A lot of people dive into CRM saying, businesses have them, we must have one. They don't really understand them. And that's the key. It's not the detail of buying the best one and just throwing it in there. It's understanding what you're going to do with it. So, it is a customer relationship management system, the C, the R, and the M. And that is, it's doing exactly what it says on the tin. It is managing your relationship with your customer. It is also used to gain customers and that process of actually gaining customers, retaining and making sure we don't have churn. But that's all under the bracket of management of your relationships with your customers. The key for me, it is a process, not a system. The CRM system is just an enabler for your CRM process. That is, that you have to understand how you want to manage your customers, what touch points you want with them, how regularly you want to speak to them, what different types of customers you have, how you speak to them, what you do with them, what their preferences are, how you treat their preferences, how you discuss the orders with them. You've got to understand all of that type of stuff and that process behind the management of your customer before you even start considering a CRM process. A CRM system, if you rush to implement a CRM system without understanding your process, you'll come a cropper. You'll implement a system. That's always going to happen with technology, but people will not adopt the system. They won't use it, and you will not get great value. It is like everything, it is process first. Selecting the right CRM is important. So today, we're going to go through 5 key steps of the key things that you must consider. 1, understand what your CRM is to do. That's just what we've been talking about. 2, how do you integrate it with your marketing tools? That is, if you have marketing tools. Many companies do. Consider your website to be a marketing tool. It is your shop front. It's something that says this is what we do, this is what we sell, this is who we are, etc., etc. It generates leads. So marketing tools are anything that will generate a lead. Do you want to integrate it with other systems? Do you want your sales teams who use the CRM to see invoices, orders, etc., etc., going into clients if they visit clients, or before they phone a client, do they need that sort of information? So you need to understand how far you want to integrate the information in the CRM with information in other systems. Can the chosen system scale with your business? Doesn't sound like a real important question at the start. So a lot of people are just, well, let's understand our CRM and get one in and get using it and see the sales roll in and manage our customers better. But as with everything, if you intend to roll this system far and wide, whether that's to numbers or geographically wide, you may have European offices or partners in different continents, you need to choose the system that will scale with your business. And you need to understand that at the start. You need to understand the costs of scaling your system. Like most systems, they're usually sold on licenses, and licenses depend on what the person with that license does. So really understand that element of any system you're considering purchasing before going ahead with the purchase. And 5, how do you ensure it doesn't decay? Put this last, but it's possibly the one I think is the most important. Think of the word adoption. Probably heard that in lots of other projects. But for lots of people with CRM, they don't consider adoption. They implement a project, pat themselves on the back and walk away going, isn't it great? That's like walking away halfway through the project for me. Adoption is making sure people understand what it is it does, what its capabilities are, how easy it is to use, and making sure they use it. And that's not standing behind them and going, you must use it. It's all about making sure they understand what it can do for them, how it helps them in their job, and how it makes them better at their job, so that they want to use it. Hence, adoption. Most important word in any project, but especially important in CRM. Okay, so let's talk about the CRM process, seeing as I said it was the most important thing to understand. So, if we think processing, I think it's about 8 steps I've got on this slide. It starts with a campaign. A campaign is something you will be doing to try and attract new custom or get your existing customers to buy more or buy different. It's something that your marketing team put out there to help generate business for you. It can be anything from a Google Ads campaign, a website campaign, which you might link to your LinkedIn profile. It can be webinars like this. It can be ebooks. You might write an ebook, put it out there, and anyone who downloads it gives you their email and the right to contact them. So that then becomes a campaign where you're gathering potential customers. That campaign should generate leads. If your campaign isn't generating leads, just publicity, it's advertising. But a campaign should generate leads. Once you generate leads, this is definitely within the CRM process. There should be an entity within your CRM called lead, how you distribute them to different people, what actions they should take. Very important that you qualify your leads as well. Not every lead is the same. It can be for more money, it can be for less money. It can be more likely, it can be less likely. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. From your lead, you're wanting actions to happen that make it an opportunity. Because a lead, if I look at my Google Ads campaign I have for a business that I work with, we may get leads. Someone has clicked through to my website. I get the information of who that is. At that point, it's a lead. It's not an opportunity. And what you're doing with the leads is trying to turn them into opportunities. That may be a call. It may be an email saying, hi, I see you've been looking at our product, see you're interested in our product, see you've been on our website, etc., etc. How can I help? What is it you're after? And you're turning that into an opportunity to sell. So that's how we go. We got campaign, lead, opportunity. The outcome of that action is hopefully a quote. And we've got to be realistic about this. If every opportunity that comes up that we get, you just throw a quote at, you're probably wasting your own time. So it is about using the system to qualify which opportunities are worth quoting and when they quote. Later we'll talk about understanding through the CRM process what actions you might have taken in campaign, lead and opportunity to get to a quote that was unsuccessful. Because you want to understand what are those things that lead to quotes never bringing in any business. Likewise, you want to understand what happens in campaign, lead and opportunity that leads to a quote being successful in bringing in business. Because that's what you're aiming for in green and order. all the effort you put in the previous steps of the CRM process are leading to the business. From there, within your CRM, you might want to see delivery. If managing your customer is all about delivery and excellence, you want to understand delivery within that process as well. Likewise, invoice. You want to see, it's probably for most companies exceedingly important to see which customers are buying the most, being invoiced for the most. It might not be the most orders, it could be the biggest orders. Do they pay on time? Are they a good customer? So you treat them right. You want to retain them. They're gold dust. So that, in a very simplified version, is the CRM process. Within a CRM system, what the system brings to these steps of the process are workflows. So a workflow, for those who are not familiar with them, is where you will take an action, for example, say in the lead phase, you'll create a lead, you'll make a phone call, and that may create a workflow to opportunity, which will then say, here are today's opportunities because we've created these leads. That can be assigned to people. So they come in the morning, get a list from their workflow that says, here's today's opportunities, go and close them, go and get a quote. It really is the system turning turning data into information, because a lead means nothing, but there's a lot of information that is created on its way to becoming an order. Okie dokie. So, I want to talk about horizons. Horizons are just what it says on the tin. So from your company, you'll have 2 or 3 horizons that you're wanting to create using a CRM system. So your first horizon, we'll call it Horizon 3, your furthest off horizon. This may be where you're just creating lots of leads. You think if you added them all up in potential income, it may add up to £50,000. You don't make £50,000. That's not what your company's making. Just bear with me on that. But that could be Horizon 3. The likelihood of converting all those leads, not that likely, but that's how many leads you have in your Horizon 3. Underneath that, you'll have Horizon 2. That's where they're opportunities. You're turning them into opportunities, and you're thinking, maybe 50% likely that I'm going to get everything that's in Horizon 2. Likewise, Horizon 1. This may be where you're putting quotes out and you're very confident that you're going to get it. So the methodology with CRM systems is the same. It's a sales philosophy, an ancient sales philosophy. You have to put a lot of effort at Horizon 3 to filter what gets through to Horizon 2, to filter what gets to Horizon 1, which shows you what is the actual gain in sales, orders, or whatever it may be that your company's going to get. The CRM system is the tool that facilitates making your horizons very clear. It's just good practice to know that if you haven't got a lot in Horizon 3, eventually you'll have very little in Horizon 1. So you know where to put your effort. Likewise, if Horizon 1 is empty and Horizon 2 is full, you need to put a lot of effort into converting everything in Horizon 2 into Horizon 1, because it's a balance, and you should know that balance of your horizons to be successful, and how those horizons have to change to grow. Digitizing that information through a CRM system allows you to see that visibly and take appropriate actions. Okay, that's horizons. So, talked a lot about seeing things. So this is just an example from Microsoft Dynamics implementation of a dashboard. And you can see it's actually not called horizons on this. On left, the big sales pipeline funnel. That is your horizons. I like to colour them in a traffic light system. This one's gone for random colours. So you can see the likelihood at the top, there's a lot of sales potential orders, and then it narrows down to the likely ones where you're likely to convert them. You can also have all sorts of other things in your dashboard, as you can see on this one. Source campaign for that created the lead, which actually has got us down to that graph may be just saying these are the ones that are in our horizon 1, likely to turn into business. So which lead, what was the campaign that got that lead? So you know what campaign is making the most impact with your customers. It's getting the biggest call to actions for your business. You can see that, and that's digitizing the information and understanding it so that you can take those appropriate actions. Hi Lynn, just noticed you took yourself off mute. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes, it's just breaking up a little bit, so I was just going to suggest maybe turning your camera off.
Okay, I shall just do that.
Thanks, Des.
No one wants to see me anyway. Okay, right. So basically, the CRM will allow you to have dashboards. Dashboards can be at any level. So you can have your own personal dashboard, which is about your work stack. You can have corporate ones, which are about the high level, what's happening at the highest level within the company. You can have them for individual salespeople, seeing how many leads they're acting on in certain areas, even how quickly they're getting to acting on those leads, how many phone calls they make per lead, how many emails they make per lead. It's endless what you can actually put in your dashboards to see what's happening. Dashboards are great fun, and they are, you know, you can get into what we used to call analysis paralysis by creating so much data to analyze. You don't do boards. Get excited about dashboards, but be very careful not to overdo it. Okay, moving to the next slide, which it doesn't want to do at the moment. Uh-oh. Just bear with me, people. I just clicked on pressed out next page and it didn't want to. Okay, here we are. How far do you want to integrate? I'm just going to check that it hasn't jumped a slide. No, there we go. How far do you want to integrate is the next question. We talked about at the start of the presentation the 5 areas that we want to discuss. So, things to think about. We've already touched on this. Your CRM process, does it need to see invoices? Invoices aren't traditionally held within a CRM, but if you can generate the CRM images or link to your finance system, that can be a costly thing. You can put them in as an entity into your CRM process so people can see it. Or you can have a process that just says, I'm going to create, every time someone buys something, I'm going to create a note that says how much they spent, and you read the notes for that customer. So you've got to understand how far you want to integrate on that side. Does your CRM process need to see contract terms? A lot of businesses I've worked with, the sales process has different terms for different customers, depending on maybe how much you buy, tiered discounts, loyalty discounts, etc., etc. So if you're using a CRM system to generate business from marketing activity through lead to opportunity to quote, you need to consider whether the contract terms need to be in there so that people aren't running ahead and giving the wrong information to people. Do you sell online? If you sell online, your CRM needs to be connected to that device, otherwise what's happening in the outcome of all your CRM activity won't be seen. People could buy online. So if you sell online, consider how you're going to connect that into your CRM so you can see the outcomes. That's very volume dependent. Obviously, if you sell online and you are a high volume, quick turnover sales organization, then you've really got challenges about how you connect your sales. It may be that you just have a download from your selling platform once a day that updates overnight. Because if you've got high volumes of data flying back and forth, you don't want to make it online, or unless you've got a heck of a lot of money. You really want to understand how you'll connect that. So have a think about that. Talk to people who, when you're getting towards buying a CRM, about how you do that. Other things to think of: do you send samples out? It doesn't sound like a very important question, but I've worked with businesses where if you do send samples out, that is pushing towards Horizon 1 that we've talked about, because people are saying, yeah, I want to try this, I want to see it. You're very close to converting that opportunity. Therefore, knowing that you've sent a sample out is a call to action within a CRM. It should be reminding someone who owns that action. Samples sent last week, must call Mr. Smith to see how it's going on. It's about converting that. Anyone who's sending samples out and not chasing that up is probably spending a lot of money and not closing as many opportunities as they need to. The CRM system will allow you to see that information and act upon it. Okay, so next slide. Designing your CRM process to be overlaid into a CRM system.
Sorry, I've just had a question from Catherine. She says it seems SAP includes all of these functions, doesn't it?
SAP will have a CRM module, and CRMs are all pretty well similar. Buying a CRM is not about reinventing the wheel. You're buying something that does customer relationship management. It's a proven process, and it works globally on a reasonably uniform basis. If you have SAP, I would recommend looking at the SAP CRM, because it's going to have the integration points to the rest of your SAP ERP platform. But CRM systems, very similar functionality, different scales, different prices, and different what we call ecosystems in IT. An ecosystem is about the amount of suppliers, vendors, and add-ons. Within CRM, you can get a lot of add-ons to your CRM. The bigger the ecosystem, the more opportunity for adding a widget. It's like adding a little app on your phone, but imagine your phone was your CRM system. You're going, I can buy an app that will do this with my CRM. So that's the ecosystem. So if you already have SAP and you're in the SAP ecosystem, I would very much start at looking at their CRM. I hope that answered your question.
Great, thanks, Des.
Okay. So designing your CRM process to be overlaid into a CRM system. So I'm not going to show you how to design it, because that's very much a different exercise, which I could talk for hours about how to set up workshops to extract and map those processes. That could be for another day. It's certainly not going to be able to be slotted into this presentation. I'm just going to give you some advice about what you should be considering while you're designing your CRM process. Firstly, by all means, reach for the stars, but remember that making it over complex will threaten my favorite word, adoption. If you make things very sophisticated and you're very excited about how much it will do and how crazy it is, and it's amazing, have you thought about the people who will be the end users? Will they share your enthusiasm? Will they find it over complex? Will they find it confusing? Like all the best systems that I've ever worked with, simplicity is the key to getting a lot out of them. You can always add complexity later on, but if you start complex, you risk my favorite word, adoption. Okay. Define your customer hierarchy. Very, very important. This is about understanding how you manage customers. If you have a customer stack that includes the head customer, say WH Smith's, then their subsidiary, WH Smith's Lancaster, and their office, retail newspaper distribution office, Lancaster, and then retail distribution manager, in Lancaster, you want to understand how they link together, because they do link together. If your customer stack is quite complex like that, that is an activity you need to do in designing your CRM process. You need to understand how they link together. If you just have a one-to-one customer hierarchy, as in you're selling B2C mainly, and the customers are individual, say you're selling widgets over the internet and you never sell to people who are connected, then that's a lot easier. But then again, your data structure is going to be a lot flatter and a lot wider. So you have to make sure that the CRM will scale to the number of customers that you're going to have. Ooh, two of my favourite words. Do create a taxonomy, which is a defining nomenclature. The number of times been involved with CRM projects, and I've mentioned these, and people tilt their head to one side and look rather confused. So taxonomy is just a dictionary for the terms that your business is going to use. The nomenclature for the system is the actual terms you're going to use. Sort of, you need to make sure everyone's using the same term, whether that's buyer, influencer, specifier, director, purchasing clerk, regional office, sub-office, head office. You need to understand all those terms, including your product, including quotes, because once you're working in a digital world, you want everything to be the same so people can understand it. If people are allowed to use their own terms or create new terms, then your digital information is becoming chaotic and you can't see patterns. So it's always a good exercise to have a taxonomy for your business anyway, so that when finance talk about something to marketing, they understand each other's terms. So do that. Take time to do it. People sometimes overlook that, but if you have confusion between different teams in your business and how they talk and what they're actually talking about, and believe me, that does go on in a heck of a lot of places, then people are going to be confused and you're not going to be maximized. The CRM implementation is an opportunity to define that and push it through your company so everyone understands each other. Lastly on this one, I think it's lastly for this bullet point, this is something that you will get pushback from people who are sales. Sales are great people, energetic, driven, great at selling. They never give up. They should be tenacious, but they usually don't like admin. Occasionally you meet the odd salesperson who goes, no, I understand my admin, because that's my information that tells me what works for me, how I did it, and how I can repeat that and sell more. But you've got to be careful in designing your process that you don't build in so much admin time, creating reports, filling in documents, recording things, that your sales team may kick back as they're losing selling time. That's a balance you've got to consider when designing your CRM process. The other side of that coin is they do no admin time and they just sell. And all that information that is your company's is staying in salespeople's heads. I've seen that before quite a few times. Sales teams arguing that they need selling time, not to, therefore they shouldn't use a CRM. Or it's been an argument during the adoption phase when people aren't adopting it because they don't get enough selling time. So you've got to get that balance right, because the information about customers, about techniques to sell, about what sells, about what keeps a customer happy, you don't want that in your salespeople's heads, because if they leave you, they walk out the door with all that stuff, and that is absolute gold dust to your business. So get the admin time versus selling time right, and you keep everybody happy. Oh, there was one more point in this section. Getting a bit worried now, I'm on the wrong slide. How do you keep the value of your data high? This comes back to taxonomy and nomenclature. So if your data ends up having lots of duplicates, lots of the same thing called a different name for a different customer, or you have people creating a new head office when they didn't find the head office that they were looking for, your data starts dropping. So understand what people are going to do, and understand how you can occasionally check for duplicates, for data that's missing, for data that's not tagged correctly. Understand how you can do that, because if your data value is high, i.e. it's accurate within your CRM system, the value of it is high. It's good for you. If you let your data decay in a system, we get to the old cliche of a system is only as valuable as the data that's in it. Now, if you let that data value slip, you can imagine the value of the system, and people start saying, oh, that CRM was rubbish, it doesn't tell me anything. That's not necessarily the design of the CRM or the CRM system. It's probably the data that's in it. People to see trends, pictures, etc., and dashboards. Consider, do you need the CRM to be mobile? When I say mobile, that's just people who are out on the road selling, potentially, needing to input data in real time very quickly. It may be that if your business needs to close deals by supplying samples very quickly, people on the road need to have access to that via a mobile device. So consider that, because most of these systems will do that. And definitely, I'm pretty sure this is the last bullet point on this slide. Does gamification work for your sales team? So what is gamification? Gamification is just making a game out of something that people do. It's typical of the IT industry to give it a fantastic title, gamification. But it is just saying, right, CRM is really about taking from campaign through lead to opportunity to sale. So it's really in the sales team's closure is showing how well we're doing this business. Therefore, let's make it a game. Let's have league tables of people closing business. The CRM can provide all of that, and a lot of them, the majority of them, have gamification add-ons. It's really a question of the culture of your business. Some highly driven businesses like gamification because it drives the behaviors. If you're salespeople, they should be naturally competitive animals. They should naturally think that they are the best at selling. Because if they're not competitive, they give up easy, and they don't think they're the best at selling, probably in the wrong role. So that's why people offer gamification. But understand the cultural fit for you on that before just jumping into it. If you're tasked with designing and implementing, and you're potentially from an IT department, it's really not your decision about gamification. It's about the sales leadership's desire to have that within their CRM system. Okie dokie. So I've talked a lot about integrating with marketing and creating the campaigns that drive CRM. So these are just some thoughts that you need to be having in your heads when integrating with your marketing. It starts with the creation of leads. Marketing's job is to create opportunity by marketing your products to your customers. It's not their job to sell it. Their job is to create the leads for your sales team to close sales. So the CRM system doesn't create new leads, but they can create existing leads, because all your customer information is within a CRM, their buying pattern, their behaviors, etc. Therefore, if you're thinking that customer buys roughly every 3 months, and I can see their order every 3 months going back 3 years. Oh, we're coming up for 3 months. Haven't seen an order. That's a lead. That's a definite lead. Get someone on to speaking to them. All right, you're going to be placing the order, just making sure you don't have churn. That's a lead. So your CRM doesn't create new opportunities, but it does create opportunities, leads for existing customers. So going to pure marketing, systems that can create leads. It's not always systems as well. Mail shots. Most marketing teams, whether it's MailChimp or whatever mechanism you use, do mail shots of campaigns. It might be a mail shot of saying, hey, have you seen our latest product? That's a campaign. It might be hey, we're having a 20% off campaign. That's a campaign. So consider how you get that information. From things like MailChimp, you can automatically download CSVs of where they went to, and you can upload those into the CRM saying they got this mail shot. You can then have a dashboard to say someone gets all the actions from the mail shot 2 weeks later to see if people are ordering. Website visits, as we all know, excuse me, we can track website visits, be that through things like Google Ads, or some software you may have embedded into your website. You can see who's visiting your website. Hopefully, for bigger and more expensive systems, you can see who visits your website, how often they visit your website, how often they stay on your website. Are they staying on your website longer? If you have got someone who's return visiting and staying longer each time, that is a lead, and it needs to go into CRM for action. Article downloads. Lots of companies write articles and say, hey, I've written an article. It's great advice that will help you and your company. So you download it, you collect the email, then you follow up with them. That needs to go via the CRM. Topical. Webinar attendance. Goodness knows, maybe you'll get a call in 2 weeks from us saying, hey, you attended that webinar on CRM. Is there anything we can help you with on one of our programs? Get you some free advice if you want to go further with CRM. But I'm just using that as an example of a lead. It's how you generate leads. Contact us buttons on websites, etc. They need to go into the CRM, and actions. You know, it may be someone clicks that. If it's a customer that's assigned to a certain salesperson, a workflow is then enacted to say you've got a call that needs to take place within the next 24 hours or whatever it is that your business says the SLA for that sort of thing is. Okay, so we talked earlier about the 5 things. I think the fourth one was, right sizing your CRM. Done a lot about your CRM process. We're presuming you've got that nailed down and you understand it, and everyone's getting excited about how we're going to work. You really need to then consider, for the right platform, can you expand your CRM system? It's not really the question it used to be, expanding a CRM. In the good old days, or bad old days of IT, you would have bought a CRM, it would have been hosted on a big server under a desk sometimes, but usually hopefully in a data center on-prem. And you'd have to look after that server, and you'd have to look after the CRM, and you'd have to do updates yourselves, and you'd have to have people who were experts in doing that. It's all cost. Whereas now, we are, I can remember talking about cloud 10 years ago, and a lot of people looked at it with a skeptical eye and went, oh, come on. Now all our data will leak all over the place. But now everyone's very comfortable with the cloud. The CRM vendors are exceptionally comfortable with the cloud. The reason being, they want people to be able to get a CRM without having to have a server and an engineer who can look after that server. They do it all for you. You buy your instance in the cloud. You don't have to have deep technical people to do the upgrade, to maintain it, to put it on a server. That's all part of the cloud installation. Cloud installations also facilitate mobility a lot better because people's devices can go to the cloud and see things. And the security is great. These CRM people, they employ a lot of people who do security day in, day out, are deep experts, have teams of security people. You don't have that, so therefore going on-prem, you could be very unreliable and not very secure. So the cloud options that are out there allow you to be safe, to be secure, to be implemented, but they also allow you to expand. You can buy more storage very quickly, almost at the flick of a switch. So if you don't want to go cloud with the CRM, have damn good reasons why not. But that is down to individual business choice. Talked earlier about the ecosystem. So understand what add-ons are out there for your chosen CRM platform and what you're likely to get. Don't just look at what you want at implementation. Understand what you might want down the line, because you're not going to do a CRM implementation and go, woof, we've got that, let's leave that alone for 5 years. It is a continuous thing that you need to look at. It is so important to your business, your customer relationship management process. It will change. And you will want someone, if you like having extra add-ons to do different things, understand that and understand what your CRM provider of choice can give you. Understand their licensing model. So licensing is where vendors harvest cash for the right reasons. They're not just going to give it away for free. But to do this, you need to define your user roles. And that's, you will have different user types, from sales to finance to management to, I've had companies where they actually had scientists doing various projects in them. They had different accesses to different levels of data. Giving people access to different levels is usually how businesses sell licenses. If people only need to see and not write, it'd be a cheapo license. If people need to see a certain segment of the data, but be able to write to some of those bits, it'll be a different license. And that's how software vendors will rate their licenses. Obviously, there will always be one license, which is, give me read write to every single bit of this system, and admin rights. That'll be the most expensive. You really don't want to give that to too many people. Admin rights, you don't want to give to too many people either, otherwise people can be changing the system and it can be chaos. So understand the licensing model from your chosen vendor and how it can be controlled. It can be quite daunting and a bit confusing, but that's where you lean on the vendor. It's their responsibility to make you understand that and help you through that. Break down your rollout into phases. Identify your MVP, or minimal viable product. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice for doing this. CRM, get what you need to have an actionable process out and understand how you're going to build on top of it. Do not go for the end game finished product. Otherwise you'll have a long project that will twist, turn, change, and that will affect adoption, with people going, oh, come on, this is taking ages and it seems a bit confusing. Get with CRMs, get the minimal viable product out there quickly, get it in use, getting people wanting more. Getting people wanting more with systems, fantastic moment, but you can do that with MVP. Fix your timeline and budget to get to MVP. I'm a big fan of hammering suppliers and saying, okay, if we're going through an implementation, you do this day in, day out. It's your bread and butter. So I want a fixed timeline to get to this. They should, if they're a decent vendor or integrator, if you use integrators, be able to do that for you, because they should know how to get to MVP quickly. It's their bread and butter. And lastly, on that area, identify, hopefully everyone's familiar with Moscow, must have, should have, could have, and would be nice to have, of the functionality that you want within your system. Because for your minimal viable product, you want all the M's of Moscow, the must-haves. You can include some should-haves if it's convenient for the project. You shouldn't be going for could have and would be nice to have. So that's just saying, prioritize your functionality and understand when you want them and how important they are. Okay, my last point 5, adoption. It's all or nothing. All this stuff we've talked about and all that effort to do all of that stuff, if you do that, if you don't get adoption, it's been a complete and utter waste of time. Training is not a one-stop shop. Training is an ongoing thing. Hopefully the training gets easier the more people get used to using it. But I've seen a couple of programs where people have thought that CRM, great, we train everyone on CRM a week before we launch, and then bosh, walk away. Not how it works. You really need to understand a program of training in a run-up to launch. Users will be nervous, and a program of training post-launch to make sure your adoption sticks. Within that training, you should be the what, why. That convinces people why you're doing it. It allows that some people will take a while, if you make changing their ways of working, to understand the what and why and accept it. So you need to introduce that. You need to do a training overview of what people are going to get. You need to understand the different job role trainings. Not one size all doesn't fit all with training. There'll be different job roles within that training. You do need floor walking or people checking once you've got live. People are comfortable. People understand. You'll get people who are nervous who just don't want to use it. They might revert to paper the day you go live. So you do need people floor walking to understand usage. Within that floor walking, monitor and retrain. Adoption, like I say, it's all or nothing. It's the most important thing that people don't put enough time into. If you get people adopting your system, you will get success. If you don't get adoption, you won't. Use adoption dashboards. You can create dashboards to see how much data people are creating, how many cases they open, how many calls they take, are they putting their emails in there, and you'll see quite quickly who's using it and who's not. Lastly, controversially, you can put using CRM into people's personal objectives. Some people like doing that stuff, some people don't, but you can, for particularly sales teams, say, in your objectives for this year, it is using the CRM. Therefore, you can have discussions with them if they decide not to. A lot of salespeople don't like to use CRM because they much prefer owning the knowledge in their head. Understandable. Very aware about question. Define your system. You need to understand your marketing activities that feed the sales system, the CRM. You need to define what systems need to feed data into the CRM. You need to understand the costs and how to scale, and you need to understand ownership and adoption. If you considered all of those things and you're getting them right, you will have a successful CRM and you will get value from it. Okay, so that's the end of all my stuff about CRM. Lynn, are you wanting me to go through the following slides?
Yes, please, but I will just start the satisfaction poll as well while you're going through them, if you don't mind just asking people to complete that for me.
Okay, brilliant. So there's a poll there which we need to get feedback from this webinar. Don't feel under pressure if my waffle has not done what you need, put that down. If you've got out of it what you need, great. So you can get support through Humber Growth Hub, and it is at free cost to yourself, where you get an advisor like me or one of the other advisors who knows a lot about your digital area that you're inquiring about. Do access. It's aimed to grow. It's aimed to, as it is Humber Growth Hub, it's aimed to help. We do have some more ICT for Growth webinars. As you can see there, I'm not going to read them out. You can read those. It's one a week through October. Have a look at them. There are other people like me who have deep knowledge in certain areas who will be happy to speak to you on certain topics. My screen has stopped again. Apologies. Yes, so registering, go to www.growmysme.co.uk, inquire now, and you can get access to the full suite of business support. The advisors will point you in the right direction for business grants and investment. One-to-one sessions with people like me, and supply chain. There are different streams: supply chain, digital catalyst, which I work with, business scale-up support programs. There's a lot there that you can take advantage of. So digital catalyst is the people like me, people with a technology and digital background who can help do or advise or take your people on a journey of where you want to go. It's about understanding problems and then getting to the solutions and planning for the solutions. The support that we provide really good to see where you are with your digital technology. We then do various exercises to draw out where we can help you find the right solutions, or it could be technology provider selection. If you need a CRM and you want someone to be sat alongside you, helping you with that engaging the right vendor or integrator. You can have that sort of thing through the hours that are provided free to you. So in a nutshell, digital catalyst, you can see the points there. I'm not a big fan of people just reading out stuff that's on the screen, so do have a read of these. Lynn, I believe the slides will be made available, will they, afterwards on request? We'll clarify that. So you can see what Digital Catalyst offers. Projects that we've done, we've moved some people's operation to the cloud where they've had a lot of IT consolidated technology infrastructure, where people have had a lot of stuff, what we usually call the 50 to 5 project, where you're going from 50 systems down to 5. We advise and help people select tools and applications to increase productivity. We introduce people to e-commerce if you have no e-commerce. We have lots of people who are experts on cyber security. Other people who are very good at online accounting, not my bag, but we have people there. And there we go, the bottom one, which is one of my strengths, implementing customer relationship management. Reasons for doing this, it really is about real lasting impact. We are in a digital age. COVID has kicked us into the digital age. It's been coming for a long time, but COVID's given it a real boost. But you want to have increased business agility and be flexible and resilient. You have to be digital to do that. It will allow you to grow, hopefully increase your profits. We can also look at increasing efficiency so that you're reducing the bottom line costs of your business, and enhance your customer experience, and attract and retain staff. There's so much stuff to go at there. So that's the contacts for the Digital Catalyst team. If you contact us, someone will get in touch to help you through and see if you qualify. There are some qualifying criteria, and help you get on to them, and then assign someone like me, if it was CRM, or someone who has expertise in your particular area.